This is a first, thankfully. We have had graffiti in the local area, but this is the first time we've been trashed.
A marine rescue unit that's helped many in troubled waters. Now it's this Swansea Heads base that needs help for a change.
This base here is a 24/7 radio base. It was built in the 1980s. It's well past its use by date. As you can see, it's got rust and it's certainly not in the best of conditions at the moment.
Marine Rescue is looking for $800,000 in funding so a state-of-the-art facility can replace the current structure.
We're not a government agency, so we can't rely on government funds. So we're looking for the community to provide us with some assistance, financial support, not only the community and the boating community, but perhaps the corporate sector as well.
Just weeks ago, an ocean rescue highlighted how important the group's work is, as it saved rock fishermen off Swansea. The long weekend is expected to add to what is an already busy period.
We did 6 jobs on last Tuesday, which was unusual for a weekday. Yeah, our guys will be on the water making sure that everyone's safe and sound and they'll be able to assist if they need be. But the boating public need to maybe do a few checks on their boats before they go out.
Michael Kane, NBN News. It's one last hurrah for an event that's been part of Newcastle's sporting calendar for 6 decades.
King Edward Park has had competition there since 1951, and this will be the last ever one.
The Matara Hill Climb will go around the park for one last time this weekend. Due to the Bathers Way Coastal Walk project, future ones will be staged at the MG Car Club's track near Raymond Terrace. 70 starting spots have already been filled, with all drivers keen to again test an infamous section of the course, known as the Pinch.
It's a matter of getting in there as fast as you can and hoping you're going to get out of it. There's such a big camber change there, so steep, it takes a lot of courage to do that correctly.
This year will also see an electric set of wheels called a Radical SR8. It's been raced in the Super Sport Series and can reach speeds of up to 265 kilometres an hour.
Going down a straight at about 250 k's Eastern Creek, it sounds like a jet. It's actually got all this aero noise plus some whistling in the background, so it does actually make sound.
Brett, I feel the need for speed.
Okay.
So Brett, you ever taken anyone out on a first date in this?
Not yet. You're the first.
Michael Kane, NBN News.
They've been known as the Jets for 11 years, but until now, the club has never made a connection with the RAAF. Today, coaching staff and a handful of players were given a guided tour of the Williamtown base, hearing about life in the Air Force. The coach is hoping themes of communication and leadership will rub off on his squad.
That's what I took out of my first meeting with the Air Commander, and the understanding of how important that is. And it's not just one leader, it's a complete team. So, we're going to announce a captain in the next 3 or 4 days, and the leadership group's here today, but ultimately we expect everyone to step up through the year as well.
The players were also given a chance to use the simulator. First up, Labino Haliti faced off against David Carney. The former Socceroo started slow, but eventually came out on top.
Oh, it was fantastic. It's gets your butterflies going. It was good to get up there and shoot Labby and kill him.
Well, I'm feeling sick now, so I want to throw up, but no, it's actually pretty cool.
The coach is yet to finalise his starting 11 for round 1 against Wellington, but Scott Miller says Haliti will be part of it.
Anyway, wherever the team needs me, I guess, and I'm not bothered as long as I can do a job, so looking forward to it.
Miller believes his side holds no fears about the daunting trip across the Tasman.
I haven't been there before. Ernie Merrick's an old coach of mine as well, so there's a bit there as well. So I've got no fear of playing Wellington whatsoever, and I think the squad's in the same framework as well.
The only stumbling block could be a visa for Serbian import Miloš Trifunovic, which is yet to be approved. Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
I hope we don't run into storms and rainfall like we did, earlier this year, which held us up on the other track, and that's one of the main reasons why we're not racing on it until the 31st of October.
This is the site on Kooragang, proposed to become home to the $5 billion fourth coal terminal. 5 years in the planning, the project was conceived at the height of the mining boom. Port Waratah Coal Services concedes there's been a significant downturn, shedding 34 of its own positions this year, and says it doesn't know if the T4 will ever become reality.
The terminal will only be built if there is demand. The market is cyclical, it always has been. It's very difficult to forecast. We're clearly in a very different place now to where we were 4 or 5 years ago. We expect that demand for thermal coal will continue to grow.
But there's certainly no immediate need.
We still have significant capacity available for growth as it is.
There will be 1,500 jobs created during construction over 2 to 3 years, with 80 permanent jobs after that. And if built, Newcastle Council will reap millions.
Department of Planning recommended 524,000. At the end of the day, once construction starts, Council will end up with a contribution with a net present value of $12 million.
But opponents say the approval ignores the impact on the health of residents, as well as Kooragan's ecology.
I think it's an appalling decision. The impacts for local communities living closest to this infrastructure are just going to suffer more and more of the detriment that we know already exists with air pollution, with noise pollution. It's just not right.
We're confident that between the conditions of approval that applied and the measures that we've proposed to manage those impacts, there will be a good outcome for the community.
And with the downturn in the coal industry and climate change, it's being described as absolute madness.
We're seeing in the newspapers every single week that jobs are being cut and jobs are being lost in mining. This is not a future industry that we should be investing in.
Future transport is one of the strands, the built environment and how we get smarter buildings and communication with the Internet of Things. And the third part of what we're doing here is the clean energy technologies.
It's been a long journey for this man on a mission. Dave Alley set off from Lismore in April this year to run around Australia in an effort to raise funds for the White Cloud Foundation.
Over 1 million Australians every year are diagnosed with depression or anxiety, and that's just the people that we know about.
He's hoping to raise $100,000 over the 14,000 kilometre journey.
Basically what they're trying to achieve is to set up clinics free of charge for people around the country. So not only for people suffering from depression and anxiety, but also their carers and supporters and families.
And it hasn't been without its challenges.
I think probably the biggest one is just juggling injury and fatigue. They've been the big things. I've certainly had my setbacks along the way that have slowed me down, but look, you know, that I knew before we started that would be part of the challenge.
His support staff have also been a big help in the marathon effort.
There are times too where he just doesn't feel like eating or drinking, so there's a little bit of pressure on him sometimes, and it's up to us as the crew to really keep on top of that for his own welfare and just to make him, you know, put him in a position where he can actually push 80 kilometres out each and every day.
Despite the gruelling schedule, the former policeman says he's loving every minute of the experience.
Look, I love Australia full stop. Every part about it has its own uniqueness.
Michael Kane, NBN News.
I was seeing if I was grabbing the right rocks and climbing properly.
It's great for them to be able to have that opportunity to use their strength, their coordination and feel alive, you know.
I think it's really, really important to support the emerging and experimental kind of art scene. I think it's been a really strong part of Newcastle and Newcastle's culture for a long time.
What do the Knights know about the enigmatic Ipswich Jets?
I've heard plenty. And I actually had a look on YouTube yesterday just out of pure curiosity, and from what I've heard, from what I've heard and seen, they just play a pretty bit of a different game.
It's more about a little bit more of a lateral movement sort of game with the footy, turn a lot of guys back on the inside. So we need to make sure that we're working hard defensively to accommodate that.
2 grand finals in 2 weeks is a very rare occurrence.
I actually nearly forgot about it. I had training today. I was sitting at home going for a surf, and then I thought, geez, I've got training this afternoon.
Always a good sign when you're in doubt with an injured pectoral muscle. Lachlan Fitzgibbon just needs to get through tomorrow's team run, and he'll be in the 17 on Sunday. The same goes for Kerrod Holland, who is struggling with an injured calf.
It happened in the first 5 minutes, which was pretty extraordinary from his sense to manage it throughout the game and play as well as what he did. So hopefully he'll come up okay and give himself a chance to play on Sunday.
This week, retirement is for real. Just 80 minutes remains for Clint Newton.
Bit of a funny time because you're always thinking, this could be it, but this actually will be it. This is the final time I'll wear the red and blue colours.
Matt Hall has done the maths and knows what's possible. The Air Race Series' most consistent pilot just needs a bit of luck.
I'm definitely at least second in the World Championship at the end of the year. And to win the World Championship, there's 12 points for a win. And I'm really just relying on, if I can have a good result and win it, and he makes an error, we can still be 4 points clear.
He backed up his win in Austria with second in Dallas.
Overall, we were pretty happy with how the race went because, to pull a second is still a good result.
Hall is a proven performer under extreme pressure.
The track and the heat generally suit us. We're used to hot weather being Australians, and the track we think will suit our new aircraft design.
Series leader Paul Bonham has only made one mistake this year. Hall capitalised and went on to win the race. After 7 rounds, the championship is now just a 2-horse race.
We know he does make mistakes, but no one's perfect. Maybe I'll make a mistake. All we can really do is concentrate on me flying a perfect race, trying to win it, go all out to win it because that's the only thing I can do, and put the pressure on him to make an error.
we still have some funds left to be able to do more work, and that's what we're doing at the moment. We're going out to tender to get additional work done and do more restoration than what we may have otherwise been able to do.
From these solar panels, Peterson's wines can generate up to 100 kilowatts of energy. To put that into perspective, the average home could be powered by just 5 kilowatts. For Colin Peterson, changing the way he sources power has been a satisfying challenge.
It's well worth it, extremely well worth it, not just from the environment's point of view, but for our business as well.
It's something many vineyards in the Hunter are now doing, including Drayton's and Tyrrell's. But over the past 4 years, Mr. Peterson has also introduced other efficiencies to make his power go further. He's replaced 3 compressors with one of these to help cool his wine.
Instead of using water towers to cool our machine down, we actually just build a dam. We use the water from the dam, take it through the fridge plant, put it back to the dam, spray it up in the air and cool it.
And it's certainly proving to be beneficial. Mr. Peterson's monthly power bill has gone from $20,000 to just $3,000. His next challenge, to rely solely on solar energy to make his wine.
There's always things we look at and say, well, can we improve that or can we make them more efficient? We've got a few things happening at the moment we're about to do, which will substantially cut our power bill again from $3,000 down to about zilch.
Vivian von Drainen, NBN News.
It's an organisation that helps people living with a disability achieve their goals.
It provides over 200 people to be able to get out into our community and experience the things that most people take for granted.
This weekend marks Connectability's biggest fundraiser of the year. Since 2011, it's raised $200,000. This year, over 60 hotels across the Hunter will donate $1 from every meal sold to help purchase a minibus for the organisation.
Goes towards our fleet, and especially to the wheelchair lifters, which are quite expensive, so it keeps the buses on the road, keeps them rolling.
Apart from providing innovative ways to overcome barriers, Connectability's home base acts as a creative space.
This artwork was done by our people that come to our services every day, and they can either go to the community or if they want to do some group programs like different living skills like cooking, but also we have a great art class and we have a lot of passionate and enthusiastic guys.
The service gives Mary Hopkett the chance to partake in her favourite pastime.
Go out fishing and all that.
How many fish have you caught?
None yet.
What, none?
No, seaweed.
Michael Kane, NBN News.
My mum was diagnosed with breast cancer 3 years ago, so just seeing what she went through and the whole family just made me want to do something a bit more to help and raise funds and raise awareness.
It's a sport for everybody, a sport not restricted by rules or boundaries. A lot of narrow laneways would be good to keep the ball down, and a lot of the guys are going to need to bounce off walls and use the environment to their advantage.
They only won 50% of their regular season games.
Heading into finals, no one gave them much of a chance. It's now October and they're still flying under the radar.
Most certainly no one's rated us right from day dot, from week one of the semis. And, we're not worried about what other people say. We're all about the team performance and let our actions do the talking.
The Knights are outsiders with the bookies, while the Jets coach believes his side can win by 40.
Some comments that have been made, I think all that's done really is put some pressure on their team, to say that they're going to come out and win easy and score 40 points. It'd be interesting to see how their team handles those comments.
But the Knights are quietly confident. NRL experience runs deep through Matt Lantry's playing roster.
So we'll be looking to our senior guys to ensure that, looking after the young boys a little bit, and, we'll still play with the enthusiasm that the game deserves.
Kerrod Holland has recovered from a calf injury, while Lachlan Fitzgibbon will play despite injuring his pectoral last weekend.
Got a really positive diagnosis from the doctor early in the week, and again cleared Thursday and got through those 2 sessions, and Kerrod's pulled up remarkably well as well, so we'll be under 17.
There's going to be so much sparring, it's going to be so much hard work, it's going to be so hot, they're going to be working out in the heat. So they're going to go through a week of very, very torturous hard work, and hopefully we'll come back, wiser, better, and ready for the next step.
The long weekend and the start of the busiest time of the year on the water, which for Roads and Maritime Services means a statewide compliance operation.
And we're just making sure that the boating community have come out with their boats, in good order, working order, their safety equipment is back on board.
Lake Macquarie is playing host to hundreds more people than usual this weekend, and already more than 200 checks have been completed.
Obviously the start of the boating season, you're aware of your service requirements when your boat was last serviced.
RMS officers are also checking that life jackets, licences and torches are on board. At this stage, only about 10% of boat users have been doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, this general area is very busy, but the vessel users in general are very educated and they understand the rules. All right, terrific guys, we appreciate your time here this morning. Enjoy the long weekend.
The RMS will conduct at least one operation per month during the peak season. Vivian von Drainen, NBN News.
Really working with the community here, in particular the Hamilton Business Council and the businesses around us, and it's very important that we are part of the community that we belong to.
Down by 14, the Knights got back into the game as Jalen Feeney scored shortly after the break. Then a controversial moment as Jake Mamo was involved in a scuffle off the ball. Mamo was helped off, but his opponent was left on the field. A few minutes later, the Knights were denied a try. Despite the result, retiring skipper Clint Newton praised his young side. Better news for two Hunter sides at the Curry Knockout in Dubbo. 2014 finalists, the Newcastle All Blacks, and 2013 champions, the Yowies, are both through to round 5, which takes place tomorrow.
Holidaymakers on their way home, and police are pleased with their long weekend behaviour.
Hunter drivers have been doing very well this year. We've issued less infringements than what we did this time last year, and we've also managed to have a fatality-free weekend so far.
6,000 random breath tests have been conducted so far, while 200 people have been caught speeding. But the good news is this weekend has been fatality-free in a year where 31 people have lost their lives on Hunter roads.
Really want to thank the motorists for the Hunter for doing the right thing on the whole over this weekend. We've had a horror year, and it's always good to get through a weekend where we have some good news.
In the northern region, perhaps one of the most improved statistics so far this long weekend relates to crashes causing injury. Incidents are down by 50%. And as the long weekend comes to a close, motorists are again being urged to take breaks and slow down.
Anyone that's travelling this evening or tomorrow, we ask them to be patient. There will be queues on the roads, especially as in those locations, like I said, around Hexham. So just be patient, stick to the speed limit, drive to the conditions, and just concentrate on what you're doing.
Vivian von Drainen, NBN News. The Hunters Beaches on a picture-perfect day. But not only are they beautiful, according to the latest Beach Watch report, they're also the cleanest in New South Wales. The most pristine of all is Newcastle, beating Sydney's famous beaches.
The main reason why our beaches are so clean locally, in fact why they're the cleanest in the state, is just the hundreds of millions of dollars that Hunter Water has invested in the local beaches, in the technology to keep the beach water clean over the last decade.
After sampling all year round, most Hunter beaches scored the highest rating, while Merewether and Burwood came in second best.
Over the last 12 months, Hunter Water has sampled local beaches about 1,500 times. All that data is verified by an independent laboratory. It's then fed to Sydney where it's analysed by Beach Watch.
To make Merewether and Burwood reach the highest standard, Hunter Water is about to install a $14 million ultraviolet disinfection system at its Burwood plant.
On occasions, there's a little bit of bacteria left after you've actually treated the water and the water's discharged to the ocean. So UV disinfection is that final stage, an extra layer of treatment just to break down the bacteria, to make sure that what we're discharging to the ocean is perfectly safe for people to swim in and on occasion to actually swallow.
It will take 12 to 18 months to install the new technology. Vivian von Drainen, NBN News.
It's been 12 years since Donna Johnson has been able to enjoy a family holiday with her son Josh. The 16-year-old has autism, and Donna says it's a struggle to find accommodation that ticks all the right boxes.
Josh is actually quite tall and strong. He's 6'5", so to take him on holidays, and if he doesn't want to go someplace, it looks like a wrestling match. It's not relaxing for me or his dad.
She's not alone. The quest for the right kind of holiday property has prompted these determined mothers to build their own. They call it the Puzzle House, a purpose-built, accessible, autism-friendly home, complete with a sensory room and parents' retreat, a place where families can stay together, minus the stress.
Toughened walls, toughened windows, so that parents don't have to be worried their kids are going to break something.
Recently, Lake Macquarie Council agreed to let the group either lease or purchase this block of land at Booragul.
It means a lot, because without the land, all we've got is an idea.
Now the mums need the support of business and the community to raise the $2 million needed to make their dream a reality.
We need it, and I know other people need it. I really do.
To find out more, head to the Puzzle House website. Amanda Douglas, NBN News.
Yeah, Dad taught me to drive when I was 9, racing since I was about 12, and racing the car I'm racing today since 16.
She drives very well. I'm very proud of her, yes.
Yeah.
Overlooked by Newcastle as a 17-year-old, Nigel Bogard today completed his return to the Hunter by being named Jets captain.
Massive honour to be able to captain the club and to be my hometown and come back. It's a massive honour. So it's a privilege to be able to lead this group of boys as well.
Nigel's been probably a choice from day one for me, in a sense how he's carried himself and how he's represented the club. So it was a big decision in a sense, because I think it's a massive responsibility in the rebuilding of the club.
Bogard says he grew up admiring the leadership qualities of Andy Roberts before playing under skippers Eugene Galekovic and John Hutchinson. The 29-year-old admits he'll have to curb some of the enthusiasm which has seen him become the most red-carded player in A-League history.
You're always going to get a little bit of white line fever out of myself, but obviously I have to tone that down a little bit. Being a leader, don't want to overstep the mark.
The coach believes the armband will help the defender grow in maturity.
It might be just me, but in my opinion, I see Nigel being a club manager at some point, so that's the pathway I want him to follow.
Today's announcement coincided with the team's official build-up to round 1 in Wellington. The coach says he has a basic squad in mind, but the players still need to perform this week at training. Enver Alividic has received his visa to enter New Zealand, but new import Milos Trifunovic is yet to be cleared. Miller is confident he has the players to cover his absence.
With our fingers crossed, Milos will be available, but let's not discount the performances we've seen through the last 16 weeks from Labano Haliti and Mitch Cooper and these types of players. I think in particular Mitch is going to have a superb season.
Brothers up in arms. Prawners Kevin and Phil Radridge should be gearing up for the busiest time of the year. Instead, they've got contamination threatening to wipe out their catch.
We just want to get some answers. What's going to happen? Is the river going to close, or is the river going to open for the prawns, and then the guys who do the crabbing and the fishing, the meshing? Nobody knows what's happening.
News of contamination from the Williamtown RAF base broke over a month ago, and the investigation into the spread of potentially dangerous firefighting chemicals is ongoing. Prawning season begins in a little over 3 weeks, but suppliers say they've been left high and dry with little information from authorities. They fear they're facing the same scenario as the fishing industry.
The expert panel examining contamination in the area last week extended the ban on commercial and recreational fishing until the end of the month. In the meantime, suppliers who should be out on the water will be forced to wait for the next move by state and federal government agencies.
Jeff Hyde has been prawning in the region for more than 60 years. He says waterways within the EPA's contamination map are crucial to the industry.
Fullerton Cove at most of the year is our best part of the river. It has the most prawns, depending on the season, it has the most prawns in it.
He says any delay to the season will affect the supply of local prawns this summer.
Be a lot of people squealing for prawns this Christmas, yeah.
Georgina Smythe, NBN News.
I think that the government is ill-informed in making this decision, which I consider to be a lazy decision. I will be debating it in Parliament, and I'll be taking their concerns straight to the Liberal government.
Damage to the kidneys as they're filtered through the kidneys, so that's why she needs to just continue on that drip, certainly for several hours longer. We think that affects.
Tina was going up to our other dog Bruno, who was carrying on up the top, and Molly dived in front of her, and next thing she's flinging a snake around in her mouth.
I think especially being a terrier too, it's in their nature. Yeah, and you just hope they know how to grab them and sort of make sure she doesn't deteriorate, but we think at this point that that's probably very unlikely. So once she gets to your vet, we think that she's probably a very good little girl, aren't you?
She probably saved Tina, but...
Yeah.
Few people speak publicly about life post-prison, but today these men did exactly that. A way to say thank you to the volunteers at Friendship House who helped them make the transition.
It's hard to adjust when you get out, but with these people, when you get out, you're sort of not alone.
For 2 decades, the Samaritans-run Friendship House has been providing shelter and support to former inmates. In that time, 480 men have found help within its walls. Steve is one of those. He believes without the Samaritans, he would be back behind bars.
Just knowing I had somewhere to stay for at least the next month, it does make a big difference.
The halfway house operates without government funding, so it can only accommodate 2 men at a time. But outgoing CEO says Cheval says even though it's small, it makes a world of difference.
Almost half of the people leaving prison become homeless and reoffend, particularly if they've got no family to return to. But if they come to Friendship House, they do much better.
I had no place to go to when I came out of prison. I would have had no idea where to go to. Maybe on a bench in a park or something.
You could replicate this all around the state if there was government funding, but you can't do it without that government-funded infrastructure.
Amanda Douglas, NBN News.
It's a ceremony that acknowledges the various roles volunteers play in our community.
While we can't give out thousands of trophies, we select particular representatives from each region.
Organisers admit it can be a tricky prospect as many volunteers are happy to be unsung heroes.
They are just there to help other people and not to get recognition, and so that's a bit of a challenge that we have, that we are almost forcing them into getting recognition.
The Lake Macquarie Marine Rescue Organisation was among the nominees.
It's a team effort. Everyone works together as a team.
The service is on alert 24/7 for water-based emergencies.
Our members are from all walks of life. They bring together all different skills to do what we do. It takes a great lot of volunteers and time and effort, and I certainly appreciate the time and effort that our volunteers put in.
And it seems the judges appreciated it too. Wickham's 17-year-old Tegan Butt took out the overall award for her work with the Samaritans and the St John Ambulance.
She's got real drive. She is a person who looks forward. She doesn't look back, and she's an absolute model of a volunteer.
Michael Kane, NBN News.
The launch of a new season and a clean slate for all 10 teams in the A-League. Despite some solid pre-season results, the Jets have been given little hope of reaching the finals.
If we focus on external pressures and external opinion, we're not doing our job right. So we can just prepare for the individual fixtures with our own ambition and prepare tactically and technically.
The new captain is happy to let Wellington be the favourites in round one.
I don't know many people that don't like to be the underdog, to be honest with you. I think that's a good tag to take into every game, and we're confident within the squad that if we implement and execute our game plan right, that we'll come away with a result. And I think that's a big statement, to be able to go there and get a result.
A handful of players have experienced several demoralising seasons, so coaching staff have been trying to instill more confidence and belief. Especially with the likes of Newcastle junior Ben Kantarovski.
He does have the technical ability, but I want him to step up and take the next challenge. It's all very well being at a club for a certain amount of time and holding down a position, but if he's going to play, I want him to play forward more and play more key passes with more of a purpose.
It doesn't happen very often, but Nick Flanagan loves coming home. An opportunity to visit family, friends, and tinker with his game.
These little pro-ams have been playing the last 3 or 4 days. It's about as much fun as having a golf course all year, and probably in the last 5 years.
He's keen to put this year behind him. After surgery on a debilitating thumb injury in 2014, Flanagan has battled to find the type of form which saw him play on the US PGA Tour.
I felt a pop about 3 years ago, and it just kind of slowly but surely got worse and worse. It's going to be arthritic, I think, for the rest of my life. I'm not going to have any, it's never going to be 100%, but as long as I can manage it, I'm fine.
Golf is a technical sport, complexities of which can play on a competitor's mind. Now 31, Flanagan is focused on simplifying his approach.
I struggled a lot with getting way too technical with everything in golf in general, and trying too hard with that part of things rather than just being out there and letting natural ability take over like you did when you were a kid.
A good result in next week's Fiji Open would be the perfect lead-in to next month's qualifying school in the US.
You know, it's one of those events, if you can win it, it opens up doors straight away. Your life can change overnight. You get into big world tour events.
Paddy Kilmurray, NBN News.